Hello, welcome to this update for the U.S. and Canada and the tropics too. So we have some severe weather to talk about and also important tropical updates. So skip ahead if you're looking for the tropical update. Let's see. So we have an enhanced risk now just issued spots in Minnesota into South Dakota and also a slight risk July 27th today. Another slight risk in the Mid-Atlantic and a marginal around it. So we do have a bigger 5% tornado threat into Minnesota, Wisconsin, South Dakota, and a 2% around it as well. So please be careful in those areas, especially in Minnesota this afternoon and evening. Stay wet aware. There's wind, 30% damaging wind area, so be careful in those storms and damaging wind gusts. And also there's like the 15.5% wind, so 15% the mid-Atlantic as well. So be careful. And some hail, now they have some hatched hail probabilities across western Minnesota and to eastern South Dakota, and the 15% goes all the way to northern Minnesota. So stay safe in those areas. Some big hail, and the 5% goes all the way to Montana. Severe thunderstorms are expected this afternoon and evening across parts of the upper Midwest and to the western Great Lakes. Other severe storms will be possible in parts of the northern plains, central Appalachians, mid-Atlantic. So stay safe in those areas and be careful. So they do say here, given the strong buoyancy near south of the front and very steep lapse rates, an elevated mixed layer impinging from the west southwest, mostly strong wind profiles will be sufficient enough for intense supercell development with initial storms, green large hail potential, some higher magnitudes possible, especially in eastern South Dakota and eastern Dakotas and southwest Minnesota, and some tornado risk. Multiple southeastward moving clusters should evolve this evening, with increasing likelihood of the damaging winds across southern Minnesota, western north Wisconsin, parts of the region upgrade to the enhanced risk. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful there in Canada. We also have southern Alberta, Manitoba, and southern Saskatchewan. A moderate chance for some damaging winds and some hail as well, and some heavy rain in some areas, especially southern Manitoba. So be careful. In Ontario, we have in Area A a tornado or two possible right near Minnesota there, where the storms will be strongest, and in Area B still some damaging winds and hail. So be careful those storms, especially because of the the damaging wind gusts. And they still shows some potential there in like practically the same areas. So stay safe and day two in the prairies. Let's see if there's something for here. Day two in Alberta still shows some stronger storms with hail possible, so be careful. And day two in the U.S., there's this big slight risk goes all the way from Montana to Wisconsin. There's some 15% wind threat and 5% in it's hatched already for some hurricane force gusts to those storms tomorrow. So stay safe. Some 15% hail in a big area, and 2% tornado threat with South Dakota to Minnesota. So stay safe tomorrow for Monday. There's still this marginal risk on Tuesday from Minnesota to the Midwest. So, and spots of Wisconsin, like in central plains to the northern high plains. So be careful. And let's just see here severe thunderstorms possible southern Montana to the central high plains, as well as parts mid Missouri and mid Mississippi valleys on Tuesday. So be careful, and I didn't even read for Monday. So severe thunderstorms are possible from northern Rockies to the Dakotas, upper Midwest, Monday afternoon and evening. Large hail and damaging severe wind gusts are expected. Also, intense gusts of some 85 mile per hour may occur in eastern South Dakota into southern Minnesota. So stay safe in those areas. Still some elevated fire threat, some dry thunderstorms. So does show across like the northwest, California to Oregon, Idaho, Montana to Nevada, and this elevating the Great Basin. So be careful. Still some dry thunderstorms tomorrow in spots in the northwest. So be careful. And now for these storms, does show like later into this afternoon. So Minnesota, as the storms turn severe, especially these initial cells, as you can see here, some start in South Dakota by the late afternoon, and there Minnesota. So shows us a very intense clusters there, Minnesota. And if you are in Canada, you should watch closely because there in Ontario show like this intense cluster on the her possible southwestern Ontario. This might have some very big hail and some tornado threat. So be careful. This goes and like still shows throughout the night. A few storms will remain to Wisconsin, Minnesota. This goes and like that cluster there. And then Monday, this doesn't go as far out as the evening, but does show some storms starting in Minnesota and some cells already popping in Nebraska and Montana for Monday. So stay safe there. And here, choose zooming closer, shows like, especially the most dangerous storms today probably will be across Minnesota and Ontario, in those areas. So be careful, especially if this turns into a bow echo or something. Be careful the severe damaging winds there in Minnesota as well, and in South Dakota, more some isolated cells might produce tornadoes. So be careful in those areas and stay safe. The Cape does shows those areas this afternoon in Minnesota, close to like 3,000 to 4,000 joules per kilogram, a few spots there, and in South Dakota, way above 3,000. So be careful in southwestern Ontario, 2,000 to like 3,500 joules per kilogram. So there's still a lot of Cape, even it does peak around South Dakota to 5,000. So stay safe in those areas. And tomorrow still shows plenty of Cape in those areas. So please be careful. There's a significant tornado parameter today on the horizon. Let's see if it shows something important because this is not working here. Let's see if the website manages to work. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know why this is not working. Here, it's almost working. I'm so sorry because my internet is slow these last few days. But while it doesn't work, let's just see something else. So here does show this trough across Nunavut to some rain there as well. These storms in like the southern prairies in Canada, in two spots in Ontario. So shows today into Monday those storms in Ontario, and does show they make it as far east as Quebec by Monday. So expect a few strong storms there too. It does show like that low pressure into the Hudson Bay and some rain and storms still by Tuesday there in Quebec and Labrador. So it does show some rounds of rain and a few storms in eastern Canada this week. So be aware. And does show like in the northeastern US today Sunday those storms in the mid-Atlantic. It comes down for a while and then does show the European like Wednesday the 30th, many scared storms possible. So we'll keep watching this and be aware. And I don't know if it worked here. So let's see. So this is a significant tornado parameter on the horizon. It doesn't show anything too crazy, but later in the evening does show higher values in Minnesota and to Ontario, especially across those areas, especially like later in the evening by Tuesday in Minnesota, South Dakota, a few spots there. So wait here. Shows like especially central Minnesota ahead of those storms, and let's see by 0C what happens. By 0C shows more elevated southwestern Ontario in those areas, even to like 5.3 significant tornado parameters, and with that line of storms it might turn dangerous. So please be careful. And the lapse rates at that time shows more in Minnesota and a few spots there in South Dakota. Doesn't show anything crazy in Ontario, but there will be some buoyancy. So be careful those areas and stay safe. So here, the European does show the accumulation next 5 days, more like does show in the northeastern US, some areas to 4 inches. It does show like the Midwest 2 inches, and still around the Gulf in Louisiana shows slightly more until August 1st. So be careful in those areas. A few storms like near the Rockies in Canada, but central Saskatchewan, Alberta is quieter, but more rain in Nunavut, into eastern Canada, in those areas. And there's some more rain in Alaska as well, spots in northwestern Canada. So be aware, like some 2 inches, the European, checking for any snow. Does show just the highest peaks there in Alaska and a few spots northern Nunavut. The European has some like random spots in the Rockies as well in Alberta. But yeah, nothing too crazy. The real thing here is the heat. So let's take a look at the heat if it shows something. But before that, let's just check one more thing with the her that might help. So like the 16th, just checking like for large hail. There's the updraft released until Monday tomorrow. Does show the stronger values across Minnesota, central southern Minnesota, and southern Ontario. The most of draft released is some in South Dakota too. And like even a small finger or two in Alberta, but especially there in Minnesota and to Ontario, be careful. Those storms. Now here, back to the heat. Does show it's still like in the southwest and in the southeast, temperatures this afternoon are over 100. So stay safe in those areas. So 90s in the plains. I'll find the heat indices in a minute, but they are skyrocketing as well. So during the night, some 70s to 80s in the southeast. So it's like very hard to sleep now there. So stay safe. Show still like more than 101 in the southeast by Tuesday afternoon, by Monday afternoon tomorrow, and even try 104 in the plains, and even higher a few spots in Nebraska. So be careful to 111 Arizona, 108. So stay safe there, stay cool. Spots of the west, some 90s too. So like still 70s to 80 during the night in the southeast and southwest. And for that's Tuesday morning, so Tuesday afternoon shows still to 110 the southwest, some 90s, 100s central plains, and like into the Midwest, some 90s and northeast as well. So show some 90s near the southeast, close to 100 in Georgia again. And for Wednesday morning, during the night, show some 86 in Arizona. It's like very hot during the night. High 70s in the south, mid-south, into the Midwest and southeast. It does show Wednesday afternoon like 109 in the southwest still. So stay safe. Some 99, even as far north as Oregon, 102 in Texas, and some 90s into the northeast as well. So stay safe. Still by Thursday afternoon, a little bit cooler for the north, some 80s, but more hundreds in the south and southwest and southeast, some 90s. Shows by Friday morning, mainly in the south, those higher temperatures, and shows like next Friday afternoon, so 109 in the southwest, and possibly like in Texas, still over 100. So stay safe. Some 87 Arizona during the night, like very hot. Please be careful. So 110 to 111 in Arizona by August 2nd. So stay safe in those areas. Be careful. But there's some things here as well, like the temperatures, they are expected to be slightly below average in the Northeast, Midwest, day 6 through 10. So the day 8 through 14 still more above average in the South, and some spots there, day 6 through 10 as well. So be careful in those areas. The show still about this heat, like extreme heat is expected to intensify across the southeast Tennessee Valley this weekend. The most dangerous combination high temperatures and humidity occurring from Monday through Wednesday, so tomorrow through Wednesday, is which prolonged and extremely dangerous heat wave, and heat levels becoming dangerous for anyone without adequate cooling and hydration. And temperatures soaring to the 90s, low 100s with heat indices feels like temperatures surpassing 110 to 115 degrees. This is extremely high, so please be careful in those areas, and especially like across this part of the southeast with higher humidity, and even like Charlotte, Nashville, Orlando, Raleigh. So please be careful those heat indices, and some reliefs likely by early August with those slightly below average temperatures, and please protect yourself from this heat. So still show like excessive rainfalls, a slight risk across parts of the Northeast, Mid-Atlantic, Midwest, and there in the north, those storms still marginal in Arizona, New Mexico though. Industrial day 2 that are in the Midwest still. Those storms, day 3, like in the plains, high plains, and southeast are marginal. Day 4, this big slide from Colorado to Indiana, and day 5 still shows slight risk on the east and spots in the plains. So be careful this rainfall and flash flooding, especially like it does show in the southeast close to 3 inches or more next 7 days. Next 3 days, just like 1 or 2 inches. Next 5 increases some, especially between day 5 and day 7. Thus showing the Midwest another hotspot, spots in the southern Louisiana into central high plains. So stay safe in those areas, and like they mentioned, the extreme heat. So extreme heat is Sunday today into Monday, big portion of the southeast, Tuesday, and the major as well. Thursday still shows throughout next week some extreme heat risk. So be careful in those areas. And now there's a very interesting topic, the tropics. So the Atlantic is still like now it's quiet. That investing in the Gulf a few days ago is gone. Just some heavy rain in Louisiana. So now it's quiet, but we are watching the near future very closely. In the Eastern Pacific, we have many things. Tropical Depression 1 seized in the Central Pacific. There's this odd area, 30% chance in the next 7 days. Might have a chance to gradually develop, but still a low chance. There's this area in the Eastern Pacific, right? Just 60% next 7 days. So, an air low pressure forecast to form well offshore the southwest coast of Mexico next couple of days. Thereafter, environment conditions are pretty conducive for gradual development. Tropical depression could form late this weekend as it moves west, northwestward, or northwestward 10 to 15 miles per hour. So, we will keep watching this too, but it might head away from land. So we do have this tropical depression, the Central Pacific. It might just turn into a tropical storm there, a long time since they had one, and thus go further east, further west. But nothing too crazy. Might diminish by August 1st. So just be aware some swells maybe and some gusty winds further out to sea. So in the Atlantic, we are watching a shock wave into early August that has some potential for development. The European model has been showing this for a few days now, so it does have a lot of members. There's not so much support, but it does have a pretty good chance of development across like the Northeastern Caribbean and the Atlantic. The members are still weak, just like tropical depression, tropical storm strength. But we better watch close. And down the road, is showing might, if it escapes this dust, it might develop further north. So here, let's go back a few days. So this is by August 3rd, shows as this approaches the Caribbean. There's pretty good model guidance there from the European. So we are watching this closely. They didn't tag this yet, the National Hurricane Center, but in the next few days, if this trend continues, they might. So if you are in those islands, just keep monitoring for updates, but don't worry right now. Just watch out for regular showers and storms with gusty winds and lightning. So the GFS is a different story, just has one, two, three members showing something interesting. The rest are just very microscopic. So the Europeans kind of excited with this, but the GFS not so much. So here, the GFS shows like there's the shock wave coming off of Africa. This goes, it tries to form a low pressure like 1013 millibars by Wednesday, but it goes as a disorganized blob into the Caribbean. But the GFS trying to form three systems off the east coast. One by August 3rd, not really tropical, another one just south of it, and another one off of the southeast by August 4th. So the GFS is kind of radical taking this into Atlantic Canada, but I don't really trust that. Just something to watch. So the seriously European does show the shock wave comes off, travels across the Atlantic at like 1015 millibars, might be a strong shock wave, but it struggles a lot. Like here's barely a disorganized blob by August 2nd. This goes and then does show later by August 11th something, some more stuff to watch. Like that does even show like 1014 millibars on August 10th, but still far out. So the European itself is not too excited, but the European AI model has been very interesting. For a few days now, the European AI was trying to develop something and approaching it to southern Florida and even to the Gulf. So this run of the European AI is very crazy. But still watching. There's the zero C. The zero C European AI did show a depression near the Bahamas on August 6th as well. So there's a chance that this develops, but still a low chance. So we are watching, but just be careful with showers and storms for now. Don't worry. Tropical storm probabilities on August 1st does show like 20 to 30% Central Atlantic, and still keeps that on August 2nd a 30% chance, like just 20 to 30. This goes and near the southeast layer. So August 6th, and yeah, this is tropical storm chance. There's tropical depression already 50% by July 30th. This goes and by August 1st does show that area like even to like 70% chance of tropical depression formation, but this doesn't mean it will form. It means there's a high chance of a depression or something, but it might try to form a low pressure then get eaten by the dust. So this goes on August 3rd, still some chances by the southeast and the Caribbean. So we are watching this, but still nothing too concerning. So here there's like for the Eastern Pacific, does show the GFS that next system forms the Eastern Pacific July 30th. It heads north and does try to develop two other systems in the next 300 hours. So there's the European shows like this goes and it tries to form it as well. Struggles some more, but does form something on August 2nd there in the Eastern Pacific, but mostly heading away from Mexico. So there's the Canadian model with the unchecking the Atlantic. So it does show a strong shock wave, like 1013 millibars as well, in the middle of the Atlantic, but then it mostly diminishes with the dust layer. So be aware those areas, but still nothing too concerning. But this thing has a decent chance. So the rainfall is not too high in the Caribbean, but there will be some showers and storms as this approach, especially like February this until August 5th. Does show more than 30 millimeters in some areas. So be aware. Does show like spots of Mexico, some 100 millimeters next 5 days. Nicaragua close to 100, in Guatemala, those strong showers and storms, especially like western Mexico. Be careful with strong downpours in northern Mexico, some afternoon storms. So be aware those usual storms like that pop up in Cuba, Jamaica, and Hispaniola in the afternoon, and a few showers. So be careful as usual. The GFS is a similar thing, but it has even more in Costa Rica and Nicaragua. The icon has a lot in southern Mexico near Guatemala. So always be careful with flooding. But yeah, and stay safe in those areas. And still there's some dust like Central Atlantic shows here like even in Florida that there's some dust in the Caribbean. This goes Monday to Tuesday, still the Eastern Caribbean. Be careful this dust. Wednesday still shows this plume in the Atlantic just north of those tropical waves. So stay safe in those areas and still some extreme heat northwestern Mexico. So be careful in those areas, northeastern Mexico too, and pretty warm to hot a few spots central Canada and other spots slightly below average. So like next Monday afternoon, tomorrow, the show during the morning slightly cooler in many spots, but the afternoon warms up mainly across southeastern Canada. Monday, Tuesday, spots central, and by Wednesday and Thursday, right, it warms up more across western portions. So stay safe, and we'll keep monitoring everything. The image of the day is this crazy storm from a few days ago.